Welcome to Her Money Revolution. I'm your host, Angela Brooks, your guide on this journey to becoming a wealthy woman. As a certified financial planner, owner, and advisor at Family Capital Management, I'm on a mission to simplify the conversation around investing and to help women generate more wealth by making their money work for them. Join me as we navigate powerful financial planning strategies to help you achieve your personal and professional goals. This podcast is your go-to destination for no fluff, easy to implement financial and investing advice. If you are ready to achieve audacious financial goals, dream beyond boundaries, and generate massive wealth for you and your family, this podcast is for you. Grab a notebook. Let's get started. Hello and welcome back to Her Money Revolution, the podcast where we empower women to grow their wealth by making their money work for them. I'm your host, Angela Brooks. I'm also a mom of 3, a certified financial planner, and your guide to building financial confidence, one empowered step at a time. So here we are. It's late July. Summer isn't quite over. We still have another month or so before school starts. But if your house is anything like mine, you're knee-deep in supply list, trying on last year's shoes, making sure all your clothes are still fitting, and figuring out how you're going to fit everything into the fall calendar. We've got football schedules and all the things. Back to school season hits hard, and it hits fast. But what if this season isn't just about backpacks and bus stops and football practice? What if it's the perfect time to start teaching our kids about money? In today's episode, I'm walking you through 3 practical, real-life ways to raise money-smart kids. Even if you feel like you're still figuring it out for yourself, you probably are, we all are, I am. Let me tell you, Mama, you're not behind. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's dive in. So this time of year in our house is full of spending decisions. So let's use them as teachable moments. Research shows that nearly 75% of teenagers want to learn more about money, but most parents don't feel confident teaching it. What? I get it. Maybe as a teen, they're already smarter than you, or at least they think that they are. But you might just be juggling your own financial goals and thinking, how in the world can I teach this if I don't have it all figured out myself? Here's the truth. Teaching your kids about money isn't about being perfect. It's about being present. It's about being honest. It's about being real and transparent. And it's about using everyday moments to pass on your values, to pass on wisdom, and to help build confidence for your kids, whether they're littles or they're teenagers. Back to school shopping is an excellent opportunity to open a conversation with your kids about money. It is a great way to show them how overspending can happen. You can turn them into little bargain shoppers even. It strategize and how you're going to go back to school shopping. I try to use it as real solid teachable moments that my kids can learn key money management skills like how to use a value spending plan, how to budget, living within one's means or prioritizing our spending, understanding the value of various different items. You want to buy something really expensive or something cheap that may not last as long. There's pros and cons each way. And you can show them how to shop, do price comparisons. Some of those things I don't even love to do. I don't actually like to price compare at all. I'm not really a shopper. I'm more of a buyer. But I use back to school shopping as a really great opportunity to educate my kids so they become smart money managers. Because not addressing these lessons early on in their life is going to carry big costs. Okay. Today, kids, I see it with mine, they have more temptations than we ever did at their age. I'm sure maybe every generation says that, but it really feels that way. They're inundated from birth with advertising messages saying, buy, 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 download, download, get it today. My daughter's like, wants something and I'll say, no, not right now or whatever. She's like, Mom, just get on your phone. Just put it on your phone and just buy it. I'm like, yeah, no, it doesn't work like that. I mean, we can. Yeah, I can just click and it's bought on my phone, but there's consequences. There's money that's attached to that. They don't understand that. A typical child, I was reading the other day, a typical child has seen more than 1 million ads by the age of 21. To counteract this conditioning, you guys, it is so important. It is essential that we are teaching our kids personal finance lessons. And they're not learning it at school. They're going to learn it from you. Whether you're teaching it or not, they're learning habits early on. So I want financial habits that they're learning to be good ones, healthy ones that are going to have them be really well-rounded individuals or human beings as adults, managing money well. And those financial habits, they do form early, right? We should begin teaching lessons about personal finance when our kids are young. Mine are 6, 8, and 10, and we have been talking about money since Nico was 1. We talk about money all the time and how to manage it and our value spending plan. It's part of our language. And as a wealth advisor, it's what I do, but you do too. You manage money, you buy things, you shop, you go in debt. You're no different than me just because it's my career. Maybe I'm more educated on it, but you're here and you're listening. So let's start the narrative with our kids. If you already have teenagers, that's okay too. You maybe see if you can get professional help. Talk with me as a wealth advisor or get that professional level training before they move out on their own. That's really critical, right? Because big grown up decisions that they're going to have to start making financially. So when we have practical, relatable lessons, it helps establish an educational foundation. It anchors a confidence around money and our kids that is going to support the continued financial education and managing money well as they continue to mature. I had a parent say, like, my kids are young, they don't understand it. Yeah, exactly. They're young. They don't understand it. They're not supposed to. They're going to grow into that understanding, right? So when they're 12, oh, yeah, I remember my mom talking about that before. The narrative is very common for them. It doesn't feel as foreign to them. So they don't turn the other way and say, oh, I should know this. Sarah over here is talking about it and I have no idea. So now I'm embarrassed and ashamed. I should know and turn away. They're not learning it at school. So it is our responsibility as a parent to teach them. So, what is the value of teaching kids about money when they're young? It's the habits, right? Kids develop poor financial habits formed in childhood are more prone to financial problems later in life. And then they hire an advisor like me and ask me to fix everything. If I could have gone back, I would have done things differently, et cetera, et cetera. Those financial mistakes carry high price tags. So I get really passionate about this. I'm really excited. I have young kids, so I think I'm extra passionate about educating our kids so they're wise around money. But let's talk about 3 practical, real life ways to raise money smart kids when we do back to school shopping. So, number 1, involve them in the back to school shopping. Don't be that mom, and I've been her before, but don't be that mom that gets the list from school and goes on Amazon and puts everything in the cart and buys it, gets home, puts it all in the backpacks for them, and first day of school, there you go, guys. Everything's done. Don't do that. Involve your kids in back to school shopping. Schedule a time with them. Now, I have 3. I like to do it independently. Like, I like to schedule time with Nico, Anderson, and Noriella. So we have one-on-one conversations, and sometimes we'll go on a date and do it. But schedule a time with your kids to create a back to school spending plan. Now, my kids go back at the end of August, so we have time. I don't know when your kids are going back, but hopefully you still have time to do this. And you want to create that list, that back to school items, all the things that they need. I download it from the teachers provided online, so have it mostly written. But one of the things that I like to do is edit it a little bit, and I like to leave some space available for my children to add items to their own list. Okay, so like leave out, for example, for Noriella, I will leave out something important like crayons, right? And then I give her certain hints as we're going through the list, planning out what we want to buy and what we need, help her identify what she also would like, right? So she says, oh, yeah, no, I want to add crayons to my list. When we involve them in this decision making process, it enhances their critical thinking, it enhances their problem solving skills, which is so lacking these days with all of the helicopter parenting that we have, and I am, and it's okay. I'm proud of that. It's fine. But when I involve them in the decisions, when she goes and decides the crayons that she wants to buy, and then she's using them in school, She knows she put those on her list. She knows she picked them out. That empowers her. And the problem solving skills that she's developing, it's crucial. So let them make choices. Okay. And then another choice that they can make is what kind of crayon they want to buy or what kind of clothes that they want to buy. If your kid has $60 for clothes, let's say, talk through their options. Do you want to buy one Nike hoodie or do you want to go to Target and buy three or four things that's on sale? Let them make that choice. Do they want to stick with the name brand backpack or save for something else? My son last year, 2 years ago, wanted a Nike backpack. The thing is almost bigger than him. It is huge. And I'm like, listen, sure, if that's the backpack you're choosing to spend your money on, I will support that. But you don't get a new backpack next year. So make sure you manage this one well. Right. I know these things go on bus rides and they get dirty and disgusting, but he's had the same backpack for a couple of years now, and he'll have it again next year. And you spend that much money. I don't get a new backpack every year anyway, but let him make that decision. So now when Nico decided to buy this Nike backpack that he has, it was his choice, not mine. And so now he takes care of it better. He asks me to wash it every handful of months to make sure it's being taken care of. This teaches them the trade off and the decision makings that again helps with problem solving and critical thinking. The idea that money is a tool, right? Not just for spending, but for prioritizing. So if you're planning your back to school shopping, it allows you to have that space to have some discussion points, some of the ones that I just talked through, but some other things that we've talked when I take my kids out, we talk about ways to save money. Like, do we want to clip coupons or look for things that are on sale? Or do we want to go to Target or do you want to go to Walmart or do you want to go to a discount store? Other discussion things, we can brainstorm really creative ways to save money. For example, shop at a secondhand or outlet store, like I said, or maybe even do a neighborhood clothing trade. Easton doesn't necessarily need clothes because he has an older brother. And so my guy is always wearing Nico's clothes. So he's like, fine, I don't need new clothes. I just need new shoes. And then he's all about the gadgets and the things for his backpack and, the kaha. Other things you can discuss are like ways that you might overspend and how impulse buying or choosing high end name brand products can go through your money really quickly. Pros and cons of that. A number two tip that I would have to help your kids become savvy with their money is have a post shopping discussion. This has been really powerful in my family. Is talking about it after. As adults, we sometimes will have that, oh gosh, I shouldn't have bought that, and buyer's remorse. Other times we're like, this is the best decision ever. I'm really happy about that. But if you have a post shopping discussion with your family after a shopping trip, sit down as a family, review the receipts. Did you come up under budget or at budget or over budget? How do we feel like we spent? Did we get everything that we needed? What mistakes did we make? Reflecting on these decisions together helps kids understand real life consequences, right? And it helps kids understand real life successes. Like, shoot, I'm so glad that I didn't buy that backpack because at the next store it was on sale, as an example. Okay. Here's the thing. When I do this with my kids, when we do this, my husband and I, you'll learn so much about them through this process. And I've probably said this to you guys before, but when you take this intentional time and talking about decisions that they've made and money, and you'll learn so much about your kids. So mine, Nico, is very calculated. He's very methodical. He is not an emotional buyer. He knows exactly what he wants, how much he needs for it. And often he ends up with like nothing left over, right? He's got maybe a couple pennies left over. He spends it to the last dime. He's learned through this experience, though, that he used to save and save and save and save. Like, no, he'd wait, only to miss out on what he actually really wanted because maybe it was not there anymore, or the sale was gone, or there's times that we were traveling and can't go back to that store. It's just not in Michigan. And he was really disappointed. Like, I should have made a decision. So, not making a decision is making the decision at the same time, right? So, Nico learned that about his behavior and his habit. And so now he plans, and when he purchases, he walks away with a lot of confidence. He's excited about it. But Eason, on the other hand, is or was, but he is more of an emotional buyer. He walk into the first store and spend all of his money and sometimes even a little bit of mine. My little guy would go in debt because his brother and sister wouldn't negotiate with him to give them some of theirs. But then at the next store, he would have a complete meltdown because he sees something that he wants even more. But this one's better. I don't want this one anymore. And it's already opened and used. And he's already in debt to me most of the time. So, like I said, this used to be his cycle, and this used to be just what would happen, but not anymore because now Easton knows himself, and I'm so proud of him and watching him process with the planning. And he remembers how those decisions made him feel. He remembers his behaviors and his habits around money and spending. So now today he learns to pause. He thinks about it, which is great. Sometimes it's a little bit too much of a pause. Like we were in Mexico for spring break. This was a while ago now, but he saw something at the first store and said, okay, let me think about it. We went to multiple different ones and then we kind of worked our way back. And then he's like, like kind of went back and forth a little bit, but he's making a wise decision. He knows himself. Now he'll ask me too, take a picture. Can you just take a picture of this and I'll think about it. And if he wants it, yeah, he'll come back later if he's still feeling the same way. If he's not, then it's like, okay, I still have my money left. I'll go ahead and buy something different. And then there's Noriella. She's right in the middle. She's kind of calculated. She's a little bit of an emotional buyer, but she usually makes a solid decision. She has a few pennies left over as well, a little more than Nico. And then she's often pretty pleased with her choice. She doesn't have much buyer's remorse. She's pretty pleased with what she had. So I love the fact that you can learn your kids, learn their habits and then help them with that, right? So obviously with Easton, like how do you help change some of the narrative? How do we change the dialogue that's going on in his own head, or the frustration that he feels? How can you work through this with him? It's super great. Number 3, set up a simple earning and saving system. Everyone's is going to look a little bit different. That's totally fine. In our home, we use kind of a chore commission system. However, my kids don't get paid for chores. They don't get an allowance. Most of the chores are their responsibilities just for living in my home. Nico takes out the trash. That's his responsibility in our home, amongst others. But Easton, for example, his responsibility is cleaning the toy room, even if it's not his toys, like having that room clean is his responsibility. And then Oriella, she makes her bed and she keeps the kids' bathroom clean upstairs. That's her responsibility. The toothpaste and all the stuff. She's the worst. Keep whatever. That's her responsibility. We don't pay them for doing that. But other chores can be extra effort jobs where they can earn some money. So, for example, if Noriella wants a new toy or she wants a new journal or something, I might say, okay, Nori, you can wash the windows for $3 or maybe help with yard work for 5. One of my favorite things to do, and I probably do this one a little bit more, is that if you want to earn extra money, you can do some extra reading. So go read for 30 minutes extra. Not, they all have to read 20 minutes a day, but if you want to do 30 minutes extra, sure, I'll pay you $5 to do that. It builds work ethic, right? It builds ownership. It builds decision making and problem solving. I'm not just going to say, yeah, here's $5. Go ahead and go buy that Nintendo game or whatever. You got to earn it. And it helps with math skills all in one. So I feel like it's a really good system that we have. But having a good saving system is also key. And having something that works for you as the parent is important. Otherwise, it's not going to work. If it's not something that's easy for you to do and that becomes one of your habits, it won't stick, right? So then whatever that system is, it needs to be something that's going to work for you and that's going to be an easy habit for you to create and to stick to. So whether it's 3 jars, the save, spend, or give, or an envelope system, or maybe even a kid's debit card to track digital money habits. I think it's Greenleaf is one. Are really, really great ideas. So find a system that works for you so that saving becomes a habit for your kids. One that's as easy and as important as brushing your teeth or going to bed on time. This is just what we do. I say it about working out too. No, you work out every day. You move your body. You brush your teeth every day, right? Okay, or you should. Well, we should be saving money every day. We should be creating really good habits with our everyday things. Because when you do that, life is just so much easier, right? With the slight edge. But when you learn how to save, this is going to teach our kids the value of money. It's going to teach them how to plan and achieve goals. I see it with clients that I have. Are like, yeah, they've been, mom and dad talked to us a lot about money versus one's like, yeah, I was never taught this till my husband passed away. Now I got to figure it all out, right? Even managing impulses, when you feel like you want to go buy something, when you manage Impulses that control can be learned by saving for a rainy day. I don't know. But studies show that kids as young as 3 can learn basic money concepts. Okay, so don't hesitate. Your kid is not too young. I promise. Start now. Start talking about money with them. Saving also paves a really great way for greater financial literacy and becoming confident with money as they get older. Like I was saying earlier, this is a really big deal for me. Just start the narrative now because then when they're older, it's not foreign. How many times I've always should know that by now. Like, if no one's talking to you about it, why would you know that? I want to talk about a children's book. I'm writing a children's book. Hopefully, it'll come out soon. But about money and investing. I asked my kids years ago when they go to the library, bring home a book on money. There isn't one. They couldn't find anything, you guys. I'm like, they bring home books on your heart, your emotions, your skin color, your hair type, your friends, but not on money. I'm going to get one out there so then they can. But we need to learn these things at a young age. I want to make sure that I feel confident in my children's decisions around money now and later. Because when they get older, each stage of life, there's a different stage of independence that they're going to have and, less and less influence from me as their parent. So I already see it in Easton. I see it in all of my kids, but especially Easton, how he knows himself so well because we've talked about it very openly and given him those choices that now he understands his behavior when he goes shopping and how to manage it. But to all those mamas listening, if you're still with me, listen, hear this. If you don't have it all together yourself, if you don't even know how to start teaching your kids, that's okay. It's okay. If you don't know, they probably don't know, right? So even opening up your bank account or opening up your investment account and just reading what's on the screen in the mail to your kids starts creating conversation and narrative. And then most importantly, you just have to be willing to talk. Just talk about it. Tell them how you save. Tell them the struggles that you're having if you're having them. Tell them the goals that you're working toward. Tell them the money mistakes that you've made. Use these conversations to plant seeds. Kids emulate what we do, right? You hear it all the time. So I practice, like I have times where I'm in the car driving and conversations in my head, I start having them out loud so my kids can hear, like if I am driving, I turn the wrong way. I can be like, oh, Angela, you're so stupid. What are you doing? Okay, wait, Angela, give yourself some grace. It's okay. You made it the wrong choice. You went the wrong way. Take a deep breath. It's okay. You're human. Turn around. Go the other way. Not a big deal. Whether you think your kids are watching or not, they are. They're watching you behave. They watch how you respond. Okay. And this is true with money as well. So practice modeling the same behavior, the same habits that you want your kids to do around money. We want to model what we're teaching them or trying to teach them. My kids know my grown-up size savings goal. My kids know what I'm doing to achieve it. I talk about it with them. Another example, like I pick them up from school. I'm like, what do you want to do tonight? Or what do you want to have for dinner? All the ideas go out. I'm like, oh yeah, let's go out to dinner. I really want a steak. I'm like, you know what? Actually, let's not do that because I don't want to spend the money on that because that's not in line with what we're saving for. So let's just go home and make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches or something else, right? You want to identify it as a want and then, having a P&J at home will save us money. Let's just do that instead. They're on board because they know my goal. They know what I'm trying to accomplish. Step by step, day by day, your child will catch on, whether they're looking or they're not looking. They're always looking, right? So what if you have a teenager already? And if you haven't opened this conversation up with them, and now maybe you're embarrassed, like they're a teenager and they're smarter than me, and I don't even know how to start with them. That's okay. It's not too late. In fact, they're still creating habits, right? And they're faced with bigger financial choices today. So now is a great time. In fact, regardless of their age, today is a great time to start having the conversation around money. And you don't need to sit them down for a financial talk. Instead, you can open the door with curiosity. Just say, hey, I realize that you and I don't talk much about money. I think we probably should. I probably should, as your mom, I should probably, what do you know about money? Do you know how to invest or do you have credit cards or do you know anything about a spending plan? Start with curiosity. Just open that conversation. Or maybe you don't even want to do that. Maybe you do need to schedule an appointment with them. Maybe your kid's hard to talk with, or maybe you have a hard time. Maybe that's on you. I don't know. But to meet with me, you make an appointment. To go to your doctor, you make an appointment. Maybe you do the same with your child. Like, hey, I kind of want to talk to you about something important. Let's schedule some time to sit down and talk about money, right? But the key there, you guys, is that you're honest. That's it. And that you're transparent. Hey, I don't know much about this stuff. I'm learning. And I want you to learn too. So can we do it together? Admit what you've learned the hard way. Teens respect honesty and real life stories more than they do lectures. And I like to lecture. So it's something I'm still working through myself. But with that, I should digress, actually. I feel like this has turned into a little bit more of a lecture. But listen, if you're still here, if you're still listening to Her Money Revolution, thank you, thank you, thank you. You're already one step ahead from where you were yesterday. Thank you. You're doing a good job. Keep showing up. Back to school shopping is a fresh start for your family, not just academically, but financially, emotionally, and I dare say generationally if you do it right. I've created a really cool resource for you guys. So download Kids and Money Conversation Guide. It will help you start these important conversations at home. It's free, it's simple, it's at my website. It's made for real families like yours. From conversations that I've had with my kids, I'm actually thinking about bringing my kids on here and having a little interview with each of them about money. So stay tuned for that. But if you do any of these activities, I want to hear from you. Please tag me on Instagram at Her Money Revolution. Let's inspire each other. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's keep building wealth. Let's keep building confidence and legacy together. Until next time. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you are feeling more empowered in your financial journey. Remember, follow and subscribe to Her Money Revolution on your favorite podcast platform, and share your feedback by leaving a review. I'd love to hear your biggest takeaway from today's episode. Until next time, stay inspired.